Hello, everyone. Welcome to Monday morning meditation. It's the beginning of another week, and I'm really excited to lead today's meditation because it's sort of reflecting on an idea that I've been meditating on personally, which is tuning into our intuition. So go ahead and find a comfortable seat. You can lay down if you like. I find that it's helpful to sort of sit upright because I think when we're thinking about something like intuition, which is um, sort of our internal knowledge, our gut feeling, I guess, is another way of kind of describing it. But really, it's just our internal knowledge that we have that is something we don't really have to put much effort into. It just kind of exists naturally. So, in accessing that knowledge, I think we're really just coming more into synchronicity with our body, our thoughts, our mind. And one thing that can be helpful in doing that is sitting upright and activating your Jalandhara Bandha, which is your chin bind. So to do so, you want to sit up kind of nice and tall, tuck your chin in slightly towards your chest, and at the same time, lift your sternum up so that it's almost like your chin and your chest are moving towards each other. What this really does is this kind of seals off the energetic channel in your higher chakras, which helps focus the energy and it concentrates the energy in the higher chakras, which are associated with your higher consciousness. So they help you get into more of a meditative and reflective state. So that's my suggestion. You're welcome to either take it or not. I just realized I completely glazed over the introduction. My name is Divya. My pronouns are she, her. And I live in Oakland, California, which is Ohlone County, or not Ohlone County, Ohlone Land. Right, so once you're in a nice seated position, go ahead and let your eyes flutter to a close, or you can direct your gaze down towards the floor. Personally, I feel like it's helpful to keep my eyes closed so that I can sort of cut off some of the external stimuli that's not going to be as helpful as we practice today. So I'm going to go ahead and close my eyes. And before we get started, just meditate on this question for a minute. Why are we meditating today? Why have you chosen to come here today and to reflect? Personally, for me, it's because I'm trying to become more aware and more connected at present. And to be able to speak the same language as the rest of my body. So in Buddhist meditation, there's four components to mindfulness. There's the body, there's feelings, there's the mind, and then there's sort of phenomena or external environment. So I believe that in order to attain this intuition or find this intuition, we need to become in synchronicity with all of these elements. So we'll explore that a little bit today. So start to deepen your inhales and exhales, imagining your breath as a ball of white light, and as you inhale, it's entering in through the crown of your head, traveling through your body, through your limbs, down the spine, all the way down to your toes, letting that ball of light just hover for a moment. As you exhale, imagine the force of the air pushing that ball slowly back up through your body, traveling through your limbs, through your core, through your chest, maybe feeling it extra in your chest for just a moment here, and really push all the air out. You can use your belly button pushing against your spine to help really force the air out before you start a new breath. So come back to this visualization anytime you feel a slight disconnect with your breath, feel removed from it in any way. Just imagine the breath as a ball of light. Let's take 3 more breaths together. If you haven't already, now is a great time to seal your lips and start breathing through your nose. bringing a little bit more cooler energy into the body rather than heating energy, helping us stay a little bit more present in the mind rather than the body. There's two metaphors that I like to think of whenever I'm meditating when it comes to being present and being forgiving of distracting thoughts. So I'll offer both to you, and you can use whichever one feels more applicable to you today. The first is thinking about them, about your thoughts, so like leaves on a stream. Leaves are going to inevitably fall off of trees and they will inevitably flow in water, in moving water. So just imagine the brain and the mind like this moving stream of water. It's continuous, there's no stopping it, but you can become aware of the motion. And in doing so, you'll notice these trees that have nothing to do with your stream of motion. With your consciousness, these leaves will fall in and the water will carry them where they go. So you can imagine your mind like the stream and just let go of these leaves. Just take them where they need to go and drop them off. Let them flow out of sight and out of mind. Another fun metaphor I like to use is thinking of your consciousness like an Instagram live and thinking of distracting thoughts, or let's just call them thoughts, not even distracting thoughts, just thoughts as people popping in and out of the live. I don't know about you, but I like to just kind of pop in and out of lives and see what people are talking about, see what the situation is. And sometimes I say, sometimes I leave. But today, for the sake of meditation, let's think of these thoughts as people just, you know, bypassers just popping in and out of our life. Maybe they didn't really know what it was about. Maybe they're not that interested in the topic. They're just checking it out. And we're not going to do anything about it because we are focused on sharing information, on communicating with the person who's in the live with us. That's where our focus and our attention is. So pay no mind to people who are just checking things out, testing the waters. Let the thoughts pop in and out of your mind, just like people would in a live. Keep the focus on your breath as you inhale and exhale. And I want to present a question here. How do we tune in to the frequency of our intuition? Coming back to those four principles of Buddhist mindfulness, the body, thinking about your senses. Our vision is likely paused as we've closed our eyes or lowered our gaze. We're not taking a lot of external stimuli. So just try to think about without seeing what you're seeing. Maybe there's shadows and shapes. Maybe there's a bit of dancing light. Just notice what your vision is presenting to you at this moment. Second, think about your feelings. Think about any emotions that feel particularly present to you right now. Think about if you're resisting these feelings or if you're letting them just flow through you as they come in. Think about your mind. Take a pulse on if thoughts are racing or if your mind feels somewhat still and calm. Personally, I've learned that racing thoughts aren't always a bad thing. Of course, they're an indicator that maybe something is a bit unsettled, but it's also the sign of a very productive mind and, to me, intuition at work. And finally, think about your physical surroundings, what's happening around you. And in doing so, you can activate other senses like what are you hearing? What are you smelling? What does the surface that you're sitting on feel like? Maybe you have a blanket on you. How does that feel on your skin? Maybe you can take it a level deeper. What does it feel like to have your eyes closed, to have your hands rest on your body, to feel the vibration of your heartbeat, to feel the vibration in your body when you speak or when you take a breath? In tuning into our intuition, our higher knowledge, we can often start by coming to the senses, to our external situation, and just returning to these four principles: the body, our feelings, our mind, and our surroundings, as tools to help us zero in on the present moment. Intuition is often about observation. Right now, for example, I'm hearing the garbage truck outside at 6:30 in the morning, and that's fine. It brought me back to the present. So thinking about that question, actually, it's a perfect question to segue into. What noise gets in the way of us leaning into what we already know? Mentally raise your hand if you've ever had a problem or a situation that you just felt you were at a crossroads. You didn't know what to do. And maybe you felt compelled to speak to someone about it. And maybe you found yourself talking through most of that conversation. And maybe you found a solution at the end. Oftentimes, speaking things out helps me personally find a solution. And that really just reveals that there is some barrier in the way from me being able to find that solution without just getting it out of my system. So, whatever that barrier is what I consider to be mental noise, something that stands between me and that intuition. And this noise can take many shapes and many forms: impatience, ego, expectation, mistrust. Impatience, for example, when we're constantly expecting something or we're constantly waiting for something, we're agitated, we're in this agitated state. The rest of our senses, the rest of our abilities to perceive and contextualize what's happening around us can lower. That sensory experience can lower a bit because all of our energy is focused on waiting for something else. So we're less observant, we're less attuned to our surroundings and to opportunities, and we're less attuned to facts as opposed to opinions. And hard facts are often things that can help us access this higher knowledge. Ego is a big one. When we have certain expectations or beliefs about ourselves, that can become a shortcoming and it can really get in our own way. Vulnerability and humility are very important in accessing intuition. Expectation. Oftentimes, when we want a solution to something, we expect it to look or feel or seem a certain way. And expectation of a certain outcome can certainly present limitations. It can obstruct us from seeing a solution that's maybe already standing right in front of us. It clouds our intuition to have expectation. And finally, mistrust. When you don't trust what's happening, you don't trust that what's meant for you will come to you. When you don't have that faith, it kind of goes hand in hand with expectation. We might lose sight of something that's already right in front of us. So, thinking about all of this noise, impatience, and ego, and expectation, and mistrust, and whatever else the noise might be for you personally, think about how those things feel in your body. So, when you feel impatient, how does it feel in your body? Where do you feel it in the body? When you're expectant, how does it feel? What sensations go along with that feeling? And maybe you can't really come to that conclusion right now. Maybe it's just the next time you feel that, and maybe next time that you have the awareness of that feeling, take a mental note of how it feels in your body. Just be aware of it. It's only human reaction to have those feelings, but by becoming aware of how it feels in the body, we give it a little bit less power over us, and we strengthen our resolve to overcome those feelings and break down those barriers. If we don't break down those barriers and we continue to be unaware of how this noise feels in our body, it can lead to friction and it can lead to disappointment. As I mentioned, when we have expectation and impatience about something, it's just us resisting what's already there, knowledge that's already there, a solution that's already there. Awareness alone can help start to break down some of this friction. Take a moment to return to your breath if it's escaped you, your awareness. Find that little ball of light once again, traveling, staying with it as it travels up and down through the body. Now, think about, on the other hand, we've sort of dug into what this noise feels like, these barriers that prevent us from tuning into our intuition. Let's flip the script a little bit and think about, what do we need in order to trust ourselves? Whether it's to achieve a goal or to find a solution for something, solve a problem. What do we need in order to trust ourselves and the intuition that we bring everywhere we go, every situation, the intuition that just innately lives within us? Maybe some grace, gracefulness with ourselves. Grace can come with forgiveness, open mindedness, humility, a gentleness. Maybe we need perspective. Oftentimes, when our perspective is limited, especially by things like expectation, we blind ourselves to a plethora of opportunity that might be right in front of us. So think about perspective. How do we gain perspective? Compassion. Compassion that we extend so freely to people around us, to our social circles, to our family, to our workplaces, to our families. I said family, but that's a big one. We often think about compassion with family, about showing outward affections and love. We show compassion with our friends by exercising forgiveness for petty fights or disagreements. I guess the same applies for our office lives. But how do we turn that compassion inwards towards ourselves? How does that actually work? And faith. Personally, that's a big one for me. How do we practice faith? And I don't say faith with a religious inclination, I say faith with a trusting inclination. So, how do we just innately have faith in what's coming our way, in our surroundings, in our life? How do we have faith in what will be when we don't know what it will be? How do these things feel in your body? Again, maybe this present moment is not a time that you're going to feel grace or compassion or perspective or faith necessarily, but keep these ideas in your mind, and next time you feel compassion for someone, or next time you gain perspective on something, just take a moment, take a pause. We often feel it in our mind, but we don't feel it in our body as well. We don't pay attention to how it feels in the body, and that is key to becoming aware of our intuition. It's not discovering intuition, it's not building intuition, it's becoming aware. It's clearing out mental clutter and even physical clutter, sensations in the body that are chattering at us and speaking over this intuition. That's what we need to focus on, clearing that noise. We don't need to force intuition. We simply need to kind of thinking of it like archaeologists discovering prehistoric dinosaur bones in the sand. All they need to do is just dust off the sand around it, and then there it is. It's right there. The knowledge was always there. We simply need to clear the clutter around it. So, what happens when we tune into grace? We tune into compassion and perspective. Perspective is so key. What happens as a result? As people, maybe we become more versatile, more resilient, maybe more optimistic even. As the picture comes into focus, as we dust away these inhibitive states, states of impatience, states of expectation, states of mistrust, states of intense ego, as we brush these things away, we strengthen our resilience, we strengthen our perspective, and we become aware of the knowledge that we always had. So, what I'd like you to take away from today's meditation is thinking about what these barriers are for you. It's different for everyone. It's so dependent on our personalities. So just think about the next time you come up against what feels like internal conflict. And before you even try to place a name to the emotion or to your state, tune into your sensations in your body and in your mind. Are your thoughts racing? Is your heart racing? Do you feel clammy? Do you feel agitated? Maybe start there. Start with your physical sensations and then zero in on what state you're in. As you become aware, you strip away the power of these states. And over time, maybe those states become less powerful, revealing our intuition, revealing more perspective and more grace. And with awareness, we strengthen that intuition so that we can trust it more easily in the future with each example in our life. We become closer and closer to that intuition and less in need of validation from others, less in need of confirmation from our surroundings that we're making the right choice because we already know. We're already tuned into our own intuition. Let's complete our exhales together, pushing all the air out. And now let's take a deep inhale together for 3 counts. 3, 2, 1. Fill up the chest, feel the expansion. Hold the breath here as you feel the air swirling around. And exhale, pushing the air all the way out of the system, using your body to help in this process. Practicing relationship with our body and our mind. Stay here as long as you like, meditating on intuition. I hope some of these tools came in handy for you and maybe showed you something new about how we can exercise or practice our intuition.